So in this video I will be tackling a bigger job on the car, which is removing the gearbox for two reasons. One, I need a new clutch, and two, I think it's in need of a rebuild. I'm gonna try to do it myself. I've ordered some new seals and bearings from eBay and I am going to try it. I've never done this before. It's a difficult job, but we'll see how it goes. As always, first off, I jacked up the car. As you can tell, we're in the garage this time. I cleaned it up, especially for this occasion. So I jacked up the car, put it on axle stands, and I'm going to remove this nut, which is holding the drive shaft to the hub. As soon as this is undone, I should be able to get the drive shaft out, and then we can continue with the actual gearbox removal. So first off, there is this R-shaped clip. You need to lift it out, like so. Don't throw it away. This one can be reused, as well as the cap. Next up is our nut. Either ask someone to depress the brakes to prevent it from moving around, or else these are old discs, so I will have to change them in the future. So I'm going to use this pick, put it in there, and it will not be able to move anymore, hopefully. So I'm guessing it's a loose fit, but this is a socket number 36, the same one as I used on the rear axle brake discs. I'm gonna try to undo the nut. It's I believe it's a regular thread, so turn it counterclockwise. This will be the hardest part to do. I'm sorry if I'm in the picture. This isn't working. Problem with this wheel tire iron or whatever is the angle, so I'm not straight on the nut, which is a little problem. I'm still gonna keep trying. So I've encountered a minor problem with removing my drive shafts. My socket, my number 36, is actually a tad too large for this one. It's actually, I believe it is going to be a 34, which I don't have at the moment. I found some on eBay. They weren't that expensive, but if I'm going to order one, I won't have it here in time. So I've got a number of options. which is going to the local hardware store and get one, along with a decent new breaker bar with a pivot on the end, much like the one I used in other videos already, but on a lot larger. Or I'm thinking of doing this because it will allow me to continue my work tonight. The other option would be to take the complete hub assembly, including the drive shafts, out of the car. This would involve removing the suspension and the steering rack, control arm, as well as the lower suspension arm mounting. I also planned on changing the suspension to either the airbags, if I get the required hardware here in time, or with my coilovers in the meantime. So, bearing in mind I will have to take out the suspension anyway, I think I'm going to remove it right now and take off the entire hub and drive shafts. Something to bear in mind: if I want to remove the entire hub and drive shaft assembly, I will have to remove the caliper or detach the brake lines, but then you would have a lot of issues with refilling the brake fluid and bleeding the system. So I think I will remove the caliper, hang it aside, and take out the entire suspension. This will be a bit of extra work, but if it allows me to continue at an easy pace, rather than stressing about getting proper tools, with either buying them in a hardware store, buying them online, or borrowing them from a friendly neighborhood mechanic. So I will start removing the suspension. It will be the easiest thing to do. So to remove the suspension, we'll have to gain access to the upper mounting bolts of the struts. It's fairly easy. Remove the weather seal. It just pops off. Place it aside. Next is removing the windscreen wipers. In order to remove those, you pry off the plastic end caps. Carefully, not to scratch your windscreen wipers or wiper arms. Take the correct size spanner. I believe it's a 17. Nope. 16. Oh. There's no 16. I'm gonna take a round spanner then. So there's the number 16. Undo the nuts. That's one. It's 2. Place those aside. Lift up the wiper. And then wiggle it around and it should come off. There's some teeth on the shaft and on the wiper arm, so you need to wiggle it to free it. And the other one, it's a lot easier. Next up is our plastic cover. This is wedged in between a seal at the base of the windscreen. So try to get it to come out on one side. Careful, it's just a little plastic lip and they do break very easily. Move to the other side. Okay, something you normally wouldn't have to do is I need to disconnect the windscreen wipers because I relocated them from the bonnet to this plastic guard. So take away the guard next. These rubber bits on the sides. Careful not to lose them. And now we have access to the upper mounting bolts. So next, if you're going to remove the suspension, is removing the drop link, undoing the brake line and the ABS sensor wire on 2 locations, the bolt and nut which hold the strut in place, and then as a bonus we'll be undoing our steering rod and the lower suspension spindle, I guess it's called. And then hopefully we'll be able to pull out the entire hub assembly. So first up is our drop link. I'm using a Torx bit. It's a T30 and a 15mm ratchet. I'm gonna be in my own light, but I can't see it. And just hold the Torx in place and undo the nut. If these have never been undone before, you might need some penetrating oil. So this one is loose and free. Move it aside a little bit behind it. Place the nut aside. Next up will be my ABS lines, so I won't forget them. Just pull them out of the fork-like fixtures they're in. It's just a little rubber grommet, so don't want to break these or entangle them. Then is our brake line. It's, I think, in number 13. Don't lose the washer. Place it with the other bits. So this is free now. As I said, we're going to undo the caliper. I think these are also 13s. Yes. I'm going to reposition my camera. So again, as with the rear brakes, one on top, one at the bottom. As soon as these are out, we should be able to move our caliper. Out of the way, like this. Ideally, you would need something to support it with. I'm going to temporarily place it like so. Hope it holds. The nut over here, which is the 15. I think, yes. No, 16. So it's a 16, the one in the back. Probably can't see it from there, but it's the one that holds the strut in place. So just undo that one real quick. I also used copper grease on this bolt. I always do. Next, we would need to take off our ABS sensor.